Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about another microeconomic theory concept. We're going to be talking about the production possibilities frontier or the production possibilities curve. Okay, depending on whatever textbook you have or your teacher is using, they may call it one or the other. I just want you to know it's the same thing. They're used interchangeably because, well, of course, if you've seen any of them in the past, and we're going to be drawing one here in a minute, so if you haven't, not a big deal, but if you've seen one of these in the past, you understand that it's a curve, and the reason why it's used interchangeably with frontier is that it is in fact a barrier. It is a frontier between the unattainable and the attainable possibilities. So when we talk about a production possibilities frontier, what we mean is that in a given scenario, okay, when we have a given economic agent, so be that a country, a citizen, a firm, okay, so we have an economic agent or an actor, and that can be a person, it can be a firm, it can be a country. Doesn't really matter, okay, what the agent is. The key fact is that this person is limited by scarcity. This actor is limited by scarcity. If you don't understand the principle of scarcity, you can check out my video. I'll embed a link in the comment section below so you can check that out. But basically, scarcity means that we don't have an abundance of everything we need. There's a limited amount. Okay, there's a limited quantity of resources. And that definition will suffice for what we have to do here. So because we're limited by this scarcity, okay, when we actually graphically represent our options, okay, our choices of production, we'll end up with something along the lines of this. Just bear with me here. As I draw this out here, I'm just drawing a little comparative static for you. So if we draw the curve, bring it down, plot a few points on here. I'll explain this in a minute. Just want to get all the relevant points drawn in here. Perhaps in future videos I will get better at changing colors so that you can differentiate everything a little bit better. We'll call this one E. We won't worry about that one. We only need this many points. Okay. We'll call this our quantity. And this is our quantity. Say this is our quantity of pizzas that we can make. This is our quantity of shoes. So basically what this graph here represents, okay, is the relationship of the number of pizzas we can produce versus number of shoes we can produce. Now the whole idea behind this, okay, is that there's scarce resources, right? So if we think of the pizza and the shoes example here, we got to think of what our limiting factor would be. Okay, if we are a business owner and we own a pizza shop, okay, we own a pizza store on Main Street, and we also own a shoe factory, okay, and we're hiring employees, and we're buying components to make our pizzas and to make our shoes. We got to think of the limiting factor. Right now, to me, I would think that the limiting factor in this, like one of the major limiting factors here, would be human labor, human hours, right? So if we think of that as a limiting factor, we understand that we only have so many human hours, and that would draw the intersection of these points. If we take one person away from producing pizzas and move him towards producing shoes, how many more shoes are we going to get for that sacrifice of that person's work time making pizzas? Okay, so we'll just put some numbers here on the side to make it a little bit more meaningful. And I want to show that maybe with a different color. It's getting kind of blue there. These are all our attainables, okay, inside here. And outside here are our unattainables. So what do I mean by this? Well, I mean that out here we do not have sufficient resources to produce at any points out here in this area, okay? Because this would give us a quantity of, let's say, 3.5 shoes, and just taking a guess here, about 15 pizzas. Right now, we do not have the required amount of inputs as dictated by our production possibilities frontier right here to sustain this type of production. The maximum amount we could do is, if we follow all the way down, would be right here. Would be 3.5 pairs of shoes and about 9. So we could do 3.5 and 9. We could produce. That would be attainable. Now, so what do I mean by attainable as in here? Okay, attainable as within the curve. Okay, all these possibilities measured out in here. So say we're producing, to stay with our 3 example here, 3.5 example, we'll go down to 5, and we say we're producing here. Well, now we're producing 3.5 shoes, but we're producing 5 pizzas, and we saw before that we could actually produce 9. So what this is telling us right here is that all of these options, okay, underneath the curve are inefficient. So underneath curve is inefficient use of resources. Everything on the curve, okay, is an efficient allocation of resources, and everything outside the curve out here is unattainable. Now, I'm going to just take away this information here, and I'm going to recall the numbers that we had on the graph there, and I'm going to now write out a table for you. reason why this curve is powerful is that it gives us this data right here. Okay, it'll give us a list of possibilities. It'll give us, this is our quantity of pizzas and our quantity of shoes, remember from our example. So if we recall, we had 6 options: 0 pizzas, 1 pizza, 2 pizzas, 3, 4, and 5. And when we produce 0 pizzas, we can devote all our attention to shoes, so we can produce 15. And then as we transition over into producing pizzas, we lose capacity to produce shoes, okay, as dictated by that curve. Now for every firm, that curve will be a little bit different, but the key thing to understand here is that when a firm decides to allocate resources in a particular manner, it will be faced with this sort of a scenario right here, that they have a set, or they have a particular allocation that they have to follow, that we like to call production possibilities, or more formally textbooks like to call production possibilities. So that's the production possibilities curve. I hope this video was helpful and useful. If you want to leave any comments below, or hit the like button if you liked it and you want to see some future videos, feel free. Thanks a lot.